Because I Could Not Stop for Death by Emily Dickinson. Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. The carriage held but just ourselves and immortality. We slowly drove, he knew no haste, and I had put away my labour and my leisure too, for his civility. We passed the school where children played, their lessons scarcely done. We passed the fields of gazing grain, we passed the setting sun. We passed before a house that seemed a swelling of the ground. The roof was scarcely visible, the cornice but a mound. Since then 'tis centuries, but each feels shorter than the day I first surmised the horses' heads were toward eternity. Hi, welcome to Paul Reads Poetry. I'm Paul, and today we're reading a few poems by Emily Dickinson. Emily Dickinson is widely regarded as one of the most important figures in American poetry and one of the most important female poets worldwide. She was born in Amherst, Massachusetts, and lived much of her life in relative seclusion. She came from a prominent family, and her father was a lawyer and politician, and so she received a solid education at Amherst Academy and briefly at Mount Holyoke Female Seminary. Although she was socially active in her youth, she gradually withdrew from public life, spending most of her later years alone in the family home. Her isolation has fueled much speculation, but it also created the conditions for her prolific writing. Over her lifetime, Dickinson wrote nearly 1,800 poems, although only a handful were published during her life, and these were often heavily edited to fit conventional poetic standards of the time. Her work was considered unconventional for the 19th century due to its use of slant rhyme, irregular punctuation, and deep emotional and philosophical themes. Because I Could Not Stop for Death, which we just heard, is a prime example of this editorship. A newer version of the poem was published in the 1900s that showed how a couple of stanzas were reworded slightly, and one was removed altogether for publication. The version I read was the original, as it's out of copyright, but you can find the revised version online quite easily. Dickinson's poetry explores a wide range of subjects, including death, immortality, nature, love, and the inner workings of the mind. Her style is notable for its brevity, sharp imagery, and idiosyncratic use of dashes and capitalization, which you'll see if you look at the poems on the written page. Poems like I Heard a Fly Buzz When I Died, which I'll read for you next, reveal her fascination with mortality, while others, such as Hope is the Thing with Feathers, explore human resilience and spirituality. In fact, both of these poems are coming up next. In Because I Could Not Stop for Death, Dickinson presents death not as something terrifying, but as a courteous companion. Death is personified as a gentle suitor who takes the speaker on a carriage ride through the scenes of life, children playing, grain fields, and finally a house that seemed a swelling of the ground. The imagery is calm and accepting, reflecting Dickinson's philosophical view of mortality. The final stanza subtly shifts time, showing how death leads not to an abrupt end, but to eternity. So now I'm going to read 3 more of her poems for you. If I Can Stop One Heart from Breaking by Emily Dickinson. If I can stop one heart from breaking, I shall not live in vain. If I can ease one life the aching, or cool one pain, or help one fainting robin unto his nest again, I shall not live in vain. Hope by Emily Dickinson. Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul, and sings the tune without the words, and never stops at all. And sweetest in the gale is heard, and sore must be the storm that could abash the little bird that kept so many warm. I've heard it in the chillest land, and on the strangest sea, yet never, in extremity, it asked a crumb of me. I Heard a Fly Buzz When I Died by Emily Dickinson. I heard a fly buzz when I died. The stillness round my form was like the stillness in the air between the heaves of storm. The eyes beside had wrung them dry, and breaths were gathering sure for that one last onset when the king be witnessed in his power. I willed my keepsakes, signed away what portion of me I could make assignable, and then there interposed a fly, with blue uncertain stumbling buzz between the light and me, and then the windows failed, and then I could not see to see. I hope you enjoyed those. They really need reading over and over again to really appreciate the imagery and the sentiments behind them. So I recommend you look them up online and have a read through the text. In the last poem I'm going to read for you today is called Each Life Converges to Some Centre. It explores destiny and personal purpose. In it, Dickinson suggests that every life is drawn towards a central purpose or truth, whether it is fulfilled or not. The tone is both mystical and introspective. She includes references to the sea and hints at the endless depths of a spiritual discovery. The idea that life is a journey towards something greater, possibly divine, is central to much of Dickinson's work. It's clear that her work was deeply personal, often expressing thoughts and feelings that had little outlet in her everyday life. Dickinson rarely left her home in later years and wore white clothing almost exclusively, adding to her reputation as a reclusive and mysterious figure. But she did maintain lively correspondences with a small circle of friends and editors, through which she shared many of her poems. But it wasn't until after her death in 1886 that her extensive work was discovered in full. Her younger sister, Lavinia, found hundreds of poems neatly bound in hand-sewn booklets. The first collection was published posthumously in 1890, though it took decades for her poetry to be recognised for its originality and power. Today, Emily Dickinson is celebrated not just for her unique style, but for her profound insight into the human condition. Her work continues to resonate with readers for its emotional intensity, intellectual depth, and formal innovation. So I'm going to finish with one more poem by Emily Dickinson. Thanks for listening today. If you enjoyed this episode, please give it a like and maybe consider subscribing if you want to hear more like this. So we'll finish today with a poem called The Goal, also often titled as Each Life Converges to Some Centre, by Emily Dickinson. Each life converges to some centre, expressed or still, exists in every human nature, a goal. Admitted scarcely to itself, it may be too fair for credibility's temerity to dare. Adorned with caution, as a brittle heaven to reach, were hopeless as the rainbow's raiment to touch. Yet persevered toward, surer for the distance, how high unto the saints' slow diligence the sky. Ungained it may be, by a life's low venture, but then eternity enables the endeavouring again.